And then with your TheraBand, you'll just wrap it around the knees, tight in a loop. If you don't have a TheraBand, no big deal. You can do these same motions without one. This just adds a little extra pressure. And then hands, you'll want to sit kind of on one corner of your chair just to create a little more space for this movement. I'm going to turn sideways. And then hands rest on your hips. And keep the feet together. Feet stay together, and then just your knees go out super wide. And then feet stay together, knees go wide, and you squeeze your core and the glute muscles, which are your outer hip muscles. And the knees come back together. Shoulders back, squeeze your core, squeeze your buns. Knees apart, and back together. Just back and forth like that. If you enjoy the focus around the breath, you can start to match your breathing rhythm with your movement, or your movement rather with your breathing rhythm to help slow the movement down. Even when the knees come back together, try not to rush it so that we get activation of the muscles, both when they're lengthening and shortening. A couple more times here. Two more. And then on this last one, pause and hold with the knees out wide. And then go ahead and relax. Knees come back together. You can turn and face the front again. Keep the band around your knees. And then hands rest right on your thighs. And I'm going to tilt the screen down so you guys can see this a teeny bit better here. So rug or hardwood floor, whatever works. Hands rest on the knees. And then you're just going to slide one foot all the way out. And as your knee goes out, your toes point outward so they stay in line with your knees. And then take a look at that knee. If it's caving in as you do this, we want the knee to push outward. And then you slide your foot back in. And same thing. Slide your knee out, toes point out with you. Press the knee in an outward direction. Slide your foot back in. And then just back and forth like that. And then the exhale is kind of the strong part of the breath where your core muscles gather in. And some of the pelvic muscles are a part of that. So if you'd like, you can explore exhaling as your knee slides out and presses outward that way. A few more times. Knee presses out to the side, and again, you can do this without a band, especially if your muscles are starting to get fatigued. We'll want to do a few more reps without the TheraBand. And if you don't have a TheraBand and you want a little extra effort, when your knee is out, place your hand on the outside of your knee and then press your knee into your hand and use your arm to give opposition right there. Let's let everybody try that for a moment. If you're on the side, push your knee into your hand and your hand into your knee. Breathe in a full breath. And then exhale, relax, and switch sides. So left knee, you need to scoot over to the left to help the movement happen. You can. Left knee, left foot, move out to the side, toes point out. And the knee doesn't cave in. We want it to push out to really get the outer hip muscles to activate. Here, it goes out. If you don't have a TheraBand, you can pause there for a moment and use your hand to help create resistance. Last 3, if I can count. And on this last one, use your hand. Push on the knee and press your knee into your hand to create a little extra activity around the outer hip. Full breath in, full breath out. Press a little bit more with the knee. And then go ahead and relax. You can unwind the band from around the knees. Tie you. Or don't bother if it doesn't want to come undone today. And then put the block or the book in between your knees. If you don't have one, you can do it without. Just keep your knees forward and not touching. And the hands come to your thighs or your shins. Reach your chest forward. Feet press straight down into the ground. So your heels press down, your big toe squeezes the floor. Everything is pressing down as if you're about to stand up out of the chair. And you can keep hands on your knees or you can bring them to your hips. And the other thing to notice here as you are exploring this is if you just focus on feet pressing down, sometimes the spine starts to go in this direction into a cow pose shape to the spine. But if you squeeze your core muscles, it creates some length in the lower back. And we want a little bit more feet pressed in and core squeezes. Hands can be on your hips. Or if you'd like a little extra effort in the shoulders today, you can reach your arms up. Press down, knees, squeeze the block. An option if you'd like to not create momentum to stand up, but option to just explore slowly standing all the way up and leaning forward, pressing into your feet and rising up. And then slowly sit right back down, slow as you can. Sometimes I don't trust that the chair is in the same spot, but it is. Squeeze the block, lean forward one more time, press your feet down. If you want extra help from the chair, you've got it. Stand all the way up, slowly, slowly. Reach your arms up, full breath in. And then exhale, relax. Remove the block from in between your knees. And then we're going to stand with our hands on either side of the chair. And once you get there, it's kind of like your knees are under, your ankles are under your hips. And there's extra mobility around the knees. People tend to lock them out often. But we want the knees to be softly bent so that the leg muscles from feet to hips are totally activated. And then squeeze your core a little bit so you don't have this shape to the spine, but really supporting your back. And slide your right foot back till your two toes are on the floor. Look down towards the chair. Draw your chin in towards your throat so the back of the neck is really spacious. And just breathe here. Full breath in. If you'd like, you can stay here with the foot grounded, or you can do a big circle out with your right foot. Toes as you bring your foot forward, and then all the way back. So toes pointed and resting on the floor. Grip the floor with your big toe on your left foot. And one more time, lift your foot up. Big circle out. Just notice the hips range of motion. There's no right or wrong to any of this. Everybody's anatomy is so different. Land your toes back behind you. Squeeze your core. Squeeze the floor with your big toe one more time. Last time, circle out. And land your foot down next to the left foot. And send the left toes back behind you. Keeping them balanced on the floor for a little support. Again, my right leg is not locked out. There's a little bend there, so as I squeeze the floor, my outer hip is supporting the outer hip muscles. Squeeze your core. Option to stay right here. Option to Lift the left foot up. Slow circle all the way out to the left. And then the toes behind you for a pause. And then twice more, just like that. Circle out. And then forward. And then back to where they were. Last one, lift. Circle out. And there your toes. Breathe in. Make more of the cow pose shape to your spine. Bend the knees, look forward. And then exhale, round your back. Let your head hang down for a moment. Don't lock out the knees. And one more time. Breathe in, cow pose. Bend the knees, tailbone lifts. Exhale, cat pose. Go ahead and stand all the way up. One hand can rest right on the chair for a little support. And I'm going to turn sideways so you can watch my feet. You're going to move the hips back a little bit. Roll up onto your heels, as much as is possible or comfortable. Sometimes the heel pads lose a little bit of tissue as we get a little bit older. But just lift the toes at least. And then slowly rock forward, up onto your toes, onto tiptoes. And then just forward and back. You can do this with or without the chair, totally up to you. And just as slowly as you can, forward and back. Notice how your body shifts, how your core squeezes to help your feet. Just twice more. High, lower the heels, rock back. High, lower the heels, rock back. Very good. You can turn and face forward again. And then if it feels okay, get your foot that's close to the chair up a little higher, either on like one of the steps of the chair or even all the way on top of the chair. If it needs to stay down, you can just even put it right on top of the yoga block so it's a little lower. The main goal is to have your other hip pointing forward and this knee going out to the side, whatever height feels good to your body. And then if you watch my hip here, you will often just sag into the standing leg. You want to squeeze your core muscles in and squeeze the floor with your big toe so that instead of way out here, your hip is lined up right over your foot. Leg muscles are active and we're getting a little external rotation from the bent knee. Breathe a full breath in. And a full breath out. And then lift your foot wherever it is. Bring it all the way back to center. And then down to the ground. Switch sides. Again, you can use the block, the midway point if you've got one on your chair, or the top of the chair, whatever feels best. So the standing leg, toes point forward, and then this other leg, toes point out to the side, so your knee is open and drawing back in space. Help create a little more openness in the hip. Squeeze the floor with your big toe. And then instead of hip jutting out to the side, we want to draw it in by squeezing the core, pressing that foot down. Full breath in. Full breath out. And lift your toes wherever you're at. Keep that right hip drawing in. And then bring your knee forward and slowly set it down. And shake your standing leg out. Good job. And then go ahead and come back to the seated position. Yoga block in between the knees if you've got one. And again, if you don't have one, that is totally fine. If you don't have one, just keep your knees pointed forward and not like leaning in together. We want to just keep them in line with the hips today. If you've got the block, you're welcome to really work on the inner thigh muscles by really squeezing the block as much as you'd like. And then fingertips come to rest either on your shoulders or right behind your neck, either or. Squeeze your core muscles in. And then as you exhale, you'll just twist to the right. Breathe in, come back to center. And then exhale, twist to the right. Inhale in the middle. And exhale, twist. Breathe in. Breathe out. The middle. And 3 more on this side. Twist to the right. You need to put your hands down to your hips. If your shoulders get tired, please do so. And then on this last twist. Pause here, really squeeze your core. Draw your right shoulder back. And you're welcome to bring your arm down to the chair and the other hand to your knee and deepen your twist a little bit with the strength of your arms. Look over your back shoulder. And I invite you to tilt either your chin or your ear down towards the shoulder to create a little bit of a neck stretch. And really soften the left shoulder. And then come back through the center. And same thing, if your shoulders are tired and don't want more pulling your hands up, you can just put them on your hips for this. If you'd like a little more out of the shoulders as we do this, you can go up a little higher. Squeeze your core, so stomach muscles really squeeze in. And then exhale, twist to the left this time. Breathe in to move back to center. And exhale, twist to the left. Back and forth, move with your breathing and go slow. It's not a rush to get from point A to point B, but it's more a felt sense of being with your muscles as they move, noticing how the different leg muscles work with the core muscles, the experience of your breathing within each of those spaces too. Last 2. And then on this last one, you'll pause. Left arm can hold on to the back of the chair. Right hand can hold on to the leg to help you twist a little bit further. Maybe you can tilt your chin or your ear down toward the shoulder. And then come back through the middle. Move the yoga block from in between your knees. And you're just going to bring the right ankle on top of the left thigh. If that's too tall, if you sit a little bit toward the edge of your chair, you can straighten your left leg a little bit more to bring the ankle down a little bit. And then each person's anatomy is so different, especially in the hip socket. So you might notice it feels better for you to have your ankle here, or maybe more of your shin on the thigh. And what we're looking for is a stretch in the outer hip or the glutes. And also what feels like a stretch of the glutes is a muscle called the psoas and a tiny bit the piriformis. And they're things that tug on the lower back and make it uncomfortable if it gets tight. If you need a little more from the stretch, you don't want to round your spine and slouch. You want to lift your heart or your sternum bone up to help find a little more of that stretch. Slowly sit back up. Switch your legs. So left ankle goes over the right thigh, whichever one you didn't do already. And this side of the body might be totally different than the other side was. So you get to explore what feels best. Ankle, shin. It's too tight on this side for my shin to be there. Your foot needs to be lower. You can always put it on the yoga block. Then heart, sternum bone is what lifts up here. Shoulders draw back. And you can even lean forward ever so slightly as you reach your heart upward. And if you're holding your breath, it's common when stretching. Just explore that full inhale where your whole torso, not just your chest, but your whole torso expands. And then the exhale can be soft and slow. Slowly sit back down. Release the knee. You're going to bring one leg all the way out to the side. You can sit on the corner of your chair again if that helps. And then your torso is going to rotate in one direction and look over the back shoulder as you lean forward and press against the leg to help the twist happen a little more. Just create some length and some space in between each of your vertebrae. Then you'll just move right over to the opposite side. Once more on both sides. Noticing how it feels to move in between point A and B. Over to the other side. Then come back through center. If you'd like, you can put the block behind your back. And then you're simply going to reach your right arm up, as long as your shoulder feels comfy doing that. If it doesn't, you can just bend your elbow and place your hand behind the head. If it does, great. Place your hand behind the upper back or your neck. And just reach out through the elbow. Breathe here. Squeeze your core a little bit at the same time as you stretch up through the elbow, and maybe even kind of push the ribs out that direction a little bit as well. Full breath in. Full breath out. And then bring that arm all the way down and switch sides. Left hand comes to your shoulder or behind the neck as your elbow reaches up and creates a tiny little bit of a side bend here. Breathe into the side that's getting a stretch, or explore the idea of noticing what that would even feel like as you breathe in and expand that side of your body. Your lungs go from chest, upper part of your chest, down to the right in the area where the rib cage is. So there's a lot of space to really breathe and expand into. And then come back through the middle. That block nice and comfortable behind your back. And then hands rest on your thighs. Shoulders gently draw back in space. And I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. If it's not, you can look down toward the floor for a little bit more of a grounding focus. Conscious, steady gaze toward the floor. And then if you're a visual person or you'd like to explore visualizing, I welcome you to explore this idea of roots, visualizing roots growing from your feet and from your sit bones into the floor, into the stability below you, beneath you. a felt sense of the space beneath your feet. And as your shoulders reach back, notice the space that is behind you, behind your head, your neck, your spine, behind your shoulders, but a felt sense of that space. It's almost like the negative space between your body and the air. Just a sense of expansiveness and noticing behind you as your sit bones root down. As the roots grow down deep into the earth, it's also as if a tree is growing upward at the very top of your head, from your spine all the way out the very top. So a felt sense of that space above your head. What does your tree look like today? What season is it in? Their fruit, their color, or temperature, or a felt sense of anything that comes with this idea of this tree growing up and roots growing down. And then notice the space in front of you, in front of your face, in front of your heart, your shoulders. This idea of breathing in all directions. Breath doesn't just go up into your chest, but it goes forward and down and back and out to the sides. Soften your jaw. A few more moments of breath. And gently blink the eyes open, breathe in, lift up your arms as tall as you'd like. Thank you everyone so much for coming today. The light within me honors the light within each of you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, friends. Let me know if you have any questions about our new system.